Round of applause, everyone. Okay, thank you, guests, for joining us in the room, and thank you for those that are listening in and watching on the stream. Schools, obviously, if you're listening in the stream as well, obviously, we will explain the premise of the event today as well now. So, welcome to Tech Champions. It's a school-focused event as part of Derry City and Strabane District Council Enterprise Week, which is to celebrate the exciting tech-themed careers comic Tech Champions, which has just been launched. We literally had it printed in Derry yesterday, had to go down and get stitched in Belfast, had to get back up. We took it to all the schools. Hi, Jen and Leanne at the back of the room. Jen and Leanne at the back of the room, if you could possibly go and get mic'd up, obviously, over here with that gentleman, he'll be able to explain everything. So the comic is aimed at young people, showcasing 6 tech professionals and entrepreneurs and the pathways they took to develop their tech-related careers or businesses. This event is bringing those people here to the room as well. Apart from Fiona, who is from Hypixel, she's on training today. We have other people from Hypixel with us today as well. In the event, which is live streamed and in person, those tech professionals and entrepreneurs will be chatting about their varied backgrounds and journeys in the tech sector, with the aim of highlighting the diverse range of tech careers and opportunities that exist locally. So this is a collaborative project which has come together through Starticus, which is my business. Danny McLaughlin from Revolve Comics. Thank you, Danny. Danny's there. And in partnership with major sponsors, Alchemy Technology Services, Derry City and Strabane District Council, and North West Regional College, we're also delighted that on top of that, we got Seagate, Ulster University Business School, Bring It On, and Real-Time Recruitment to support the event and comic as community partners. So thank you very much to those that are here in the room and watching on stream. In addition, today we're going to hear from some career professionals as well who are going to give you some proper advice about what type of pathways you can take to go into jobs in the tech sector. And that's really important because 84% of jobs that basically will be being done in 10 years' time haven't been created yet. Okay? So careers advisors possibly might be giving you great advice, but just remember that the jobs that we're doing now weren't around 10 years ago, and likewise, in 10 years from now, the jobs that you're going to be doing haven't been created yet. So that's why it's really important you grasp the pathways that you can take. Okay? So apart from that, obviously, I just want to say thank you to Lee from Starticus as well, who basically has worked on this project as well. Leon with the great video that you saw at the start there. Danny McLaughlin and Jim Lavery, obviously, the artist. So Danny does the scripting, Jim does all the artwork for that comic. So thank you very much to both of them. Coming up in a minute, you're going to hear from a local creative entrepreneur and YouTuber, Eisenhow. Lastly, a big thank you to you all in the room. So thank you to the teachers, the schools, and the students for coming to the Nerve Centre today to be part of this filmed and real-life event. Really important, obviously, that we kind of showcase the opportunities that are here, because we don't like hearing that there's no jobs here, because there is jobs, we just need to know what jobs and how you get into them, okay? So that's one of the things that we're going to be exploring today. Let's watch this quick show reel from Adam, which just explains what he's done over the last few years.
Welcome, my name is Adam McCallion, and this is my show reel.
Great stuff. Round of applause. Let's bring up Adam, please. Thank you. Adam, thank you very much for joining us today and taking the time to think about how you're going to offer a little bit of inspiration to the students here. I was just going to add one thing before that. I would find it hard to jump out of a taxi, never mind an aeroplane. So how did you do that? That was something in the back of my mind. I just want to know.
So it was for an autism group that I did for, and it was one of my goals for 2020. I wanted to do it before I turned 21, so I wanted to jump out of an airplane.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say that I would never do that, but I would never do that. So thank you, Adam.
Right.
I'll sit down. Obviously, we'll pass the floor.
Okay.
In about 8-9 minutes, I'll ask Adam a couple of questions as well, hopefully on your behalf. And obviously, just give Adam the best time to listen in. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to start off by talking just a little bit about myself, because some of you guys haven't heard about me. So I'm going to go right back to like GCSE, because that's for these guys here right now, isn't it? So I started off and I thought, okay, what do I want to do as a career? And I would go to career events like this and I would be kind of bored because I'm going, why am I thinking about this so early now? So I just thought, right, okay, I never really paid much attention at school. I got some GCSEs and went to the tech after that. But back then I chose moving image arts, IT, and I think business studies for my GCSEs, and then there was all the other, like RE and stuff like that. So moving image arts was like my favorite one that I wanted to do because I liked making YouTube videos at the time, and I didn't have many viewers, but I thought, the whole process from filming to editing was just the creative aspect of it is what I liked. So I got into filmmaking, and at my GCSE, one of our tasks was to make a film. And I didn't know at the time, but at the time, the film that we made was then submitted into the Foyle Film Festival, and it was screened in the bowling alley. And I didn't know at the time, but I happened to win first place in Northern Ireland for the best film, and that was then put and nominated for an Oscar. It didn't get anywhere, but if you won the Foyle Film Festival, it's nominated anyways. So that was a shock, and I didn't actually realize that I had this like knack for making videos and storytelling. So left the college at lower sixth. I did my first A level, like the AS, and then I left because I didn't like it. I didn't like the whole, I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. I wanted to be very free in what I did. So I went to the Northwest Regional College, and there was actually the advertisement in the showreel. Me and my business partner George, we actually made the advertisement for the Northwest Regional College. We used to own a company called Foxglove Productions, so we would make advertisements and wedding videos and stuff for all around the city. So you've seen like a little bit of the City Cabs video in that video, in the showreel there. So we shut the company down just this year because COVID hit and it didn't really do well for us. But anyways, I'll go back again. I left the college, went to Northwest Regional College, and I did media studies, which was it was more towards advertisements, where I wanted to go down the filmmaking route, which is more like fictional storytelling, where this was more media, like news sort of stuff. But I liked it all the same. And when I left the tech, I went to McGee University, Ulster University, and I did cinematic arts. So that was more like towards what I really wanted to do then, which was filmmaking. I did that for 2 years, and then I left there and went to Queen's University and did a master's degree in media and broadcasting, so went right back full circle to what I did in the tech for my master's degree. And that was just sort of the whole journey that I went through. But along the way, right from when I was at GCSE, I'd been making YouTube videos, and they had been getting good views around the town. I would make a video at Halloween, or I would make a video, just a vlog or what I did that day, and I built like a fan base that way. But although I went down the university route, in terms of like experience, I would say I would have more value from making vlogs than I had. This is just my personal experience from going to university and going right through, because right from when I was at GCSE to the master's degree level, I think one teacher taught me how to use a camera, which, although we were taught how to use a camera, but we weren't taught the actual reciprocity of light, where you have your shutter speed, aperture, and ISO and stuff like that. So that, for me, making vlogs and actively doing something was more valuable than going and learning it on paper. It just, for media, I don't think the university route was like the full the whole experience. So I think by actively doing something and learning that way, it was a lot more valuable to me. And actually now on the side, I've set up a bonsai company. So if you see like tiny trees, bonsai trees, over lockdown I was like bored out of my mind. I didn't know what to do. So I just thought, right, I'll watch some YouTube videos. And there was this recommended video that came up from a guy called Peter Chan. And he lives out in England. He has this, we call it a bonsai nursery, where it's like a nursery for all these little tiny trees. So I set up this eBay shop where I would make these trees and sell them that way. And that did really well over lockdown. All I was doing, it was just like this relaxing, therapeutic thing. But the idea behind it is like, there's business everywhere, and there's not one direct route where you have to go to university and do whatever. There's many paths to get to where you want to do, especially in digital, a digital pathway. So that's, yeah.
No, perfect. And
that makes sense.
I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions
Okay.
now, because I think, and round of applause to Adam, please.
Right.
So like, Adam, before all I've done for the last 7 or 8 years, I worked in recruitment, which was all around recruiting the best people for jobs. And I think you struck on something then when you were talking about you made sure that you did things yourself. You weren't just reliant on the education system. Like, what advice would you give to someone in the room right now who basically maybe wants to go into a tech career or a creative industries career? What is the most important thing for them to consider?
I would say, like, start as soon as possible and do it yourself, because it was actually when I was in the college, there was a teacher said to me, he was called Mr. Meanin, and he said, you either make things happen for you or you let them happen to you. And that was like, that struck on me. I was like, oh my God, because nobody else is going to care about what you know. Yeah. Yourself. So you have
say that again, because I just want to understand that properly.
You either let things happen to you or make them happen for you. So if you just go through life and sort of go through the motions, nothing's going to change. You have to actually actively make something happen for yourself.
So that's a really good point, and definitely one for our Twitter feed. So, Lee, if you're listening in, stick that in. Mr. Meanin said. But what I would say, obviously, in terms of for someone else that might not know where to even start with that, or not know what their passion is, how did you find your passion? How would you advise someone else to think about where they get that from?
Okay, so finding what you want to do or what you like to do is, for me, I think it was one of the most exciting parts, because you get to try lots of different things. So I would say just try something, and if you don't like it, move on to the next thing and try something else, just to see if you enjoy it.
And I suppose another question I've got in the back of my head is how do you stop the fear, like of maybe one of your friends saying, oh, you look stupid, or why are you doing that, or did you have that confidence issue, or how were you able to kind of get past that?
My dad always taught me, like, why do you care what anyone else thinks? Like, it's none of my business what people think of me.
Yeah.
I was raised like that.
Brilliant.
And I think that's a good mentality to take on. Like, when you leave school, like, most of the friends that you had, like that I had, I don't speak to them, and like, you know.
Yeah.
I've more friends that are more like around of what I do now.
Yeah.
Like back then, it's school, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to comprehend when you're at school. That's because it's like you're in this like bubble, and it's like that's your whole world. But when you leave school, people go different countries, and people go do their own thing.
Yeah. And you literally have all been in your own bubbles for the last 2 years because of obviously lockdown as well. So, but it's a really good point that Adam makes in that when you're at school, you sometimes don't know what pathway you're going to go on. But I remember speaking to a group of students before, and they all wanted to be journalists. And I said to the room, the first thing I asked them is, how many of you journalists, because that's what they want to be, how many of you journalists have a blog? And out of a group of 25 students, 2 people put their hands up. So who am I going to employ? The person that's written for themselves or got a blog, and they've got work experience, they've proved themselves, or the person that says, I want to do that? And I guess from your perspective, all of the things that you've done from 15, 16 up, they're stepping stones, are they, to the next thing?
Like, I don't know where it's going to end up in the end, but it's all, anything I enjoyed, I went with it and put my whole 100% into it. I'd say they're stepping stones right up to.
Yeah. So what's next? What should we be looking out for?
I don't know, next. The Bonsai YouTube channel, it's the next one.
Bonsai. Well, perfect. Happy days. We'll see you on Karate Kid as well.
Aye.
Rock and roll. Listen, Adam, thank you very much for your time. Round of applause to Adam. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we're just going to watch a quick video from Alchemy. Alchemy was on this from the very start. So myself, Anne and Sarah are from the Alchemy team. We sat down in a room probably back in October. So this isn't a project that's been trying to be conceived for the last 2 years or something during lockdown that we came up with. October last year, we decided we want to do something during Enterprise Week that would enthuse young people about tech careers and show decent, diverse pathways into that industry. So thank you to Alchemy, first and foremost, for jumping on board straight away and supporting the project and helping to conceive it as well. Let's watch a quick video about Alchemy so you guys understand more. Great stuff. Thank you very much again, Alchemy, for being involved. Now let's introduce our first panel. So when I say panel, really all we're doing is having a chat on stage like we did just with Adam just then. And it's just to help you guys understand a little bit more about the comic and the project that we've been running. The people that you're going to have on the stage now appear in the comic. So we went back in November, December to start chatting with these folks to get them involved. And within a few months, we've been able to conceive this comic that you hopefully have in your hands today or you saw in schools yesterday. So let's first of all introduce Leanne and Jennifer from Elemental. Give them a round of applause, please. Hi. Yep, there's one. Good stuff. And then I'd like to invite Adam. Adam, if you're here, excellent. Oh, no, different Adam. Sorry, Adam. Adam, come up. Sorry, my friend. Two Adams, it always was going to happen. I'll just pretend I meant that. Adam, come you up. Round of applause to Adam, please. Adam is at Learning Pool. Good stuff. You'll find out a little bit more about Adam's journey, but it wasn't the university route, and I think that's really important for everyone to understand. It's not an alternative pathway, it's a pathway. And I think we need to start having that conversation a little bit more. Obviously, next up we have Jordan Cairns, who is from Alchemy. Jordan, there he is with the beard. Okay. And if the magic of Zoom works, we have Olivia Scoose, who is also from Alchemy. Let's have a look over the technical team. If it happens, then she will join us on this screen here as well. So we'll just turn your camera on, Olivia. So we'll do all the awkwardness that you have had on Zoom for the last 2 years, where we basically say, can you hear me? Can you hear me? You're on mute. Hello. Right.
Hello?
Hello, Olivia. We can hear you. Hopefully.
Okay, my video won't work because it says the host has stopped it.
Okay, right. Well, we will
I'm not sure if you need to give me access.
No problem. We'll try and fix that. Otherwise, you are like the godlike voice in the room. So don't panic. Either way, you are here with us today. I just want to kind of like show you that obviously if you were to look on the back of the comic, the last story there is about Jordan. So you'll see there he is. He's not looking too bad, to be fair. There he is. That's Jordan's story there, okay, from Alchemy. If you go to the front of the book, then you have Adam's story. Okay, so there he is. He's not looking, it looks a little bit like Adam. That's beautiful. Excellent. And then obviously we have two superstars, obviously in the entrepreneurial scene in Derry as well, called Elemental Software, and it's Jennifer and Leanne. I think they've done a pretty good job there as well, haven't they? Yeah. Although they didn't put your highlights in.
No, they didn't.
Oh.
That only happened at the weekend.
I'll have a word. But no, thank you ever so much for joining us. And Olivia, obviously Olivia is in there as well. I believe second story in there as well. And each one of these characters in the comic have got different pathways into what you might think of as a career within the tech sector. So I just want to start off with a little introduction from each of you. So Jordan, do you want to just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit, maybe in about a minute or so, about what you do currently.
Yeah, so my name is Jordan. I work with Alchemy Technology Services. On paper, my role is a technical analyst, but probably more apt kind of description would be a software developer. And I also do a bit of training as well. So within our company, I train the new recruits and everything when they come through. So yeah, from day to day, I'm a kind of software developer. I went to University of Ulster and did computer science. Eventually, I've made a few decisions along the way to get myself into that path, and I've found myself now working in the tech industry as well.
Okay, good stuff. Technical kind of, you see, like this happens in live events. So Adam, if you go next, obviously just explain where you thought about your tech career to start with, how that came to be.
So my name's Adam, and obviously, as he briefly mentioned just there, I didn't go the university route. I kind of had different ideas for what I wanted to do. Going through school and stuff, I realised that university wasn't for me, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. So I started looking into alternative paths. What I ended up doing was going and doing a course in Northwest Regional College, a Kickstart Your IT course it's called. And where that ended me up now is with a great career in a company called Learnable. And I'm a quality assurance analyst, which is just a fancy way to say I test software.
Excellent. Well, it sounds fancy to me, so that's perfect. And Leanne and Jennifer, you can speak individually, by the way. You don't have to have like one voice. But tell us a little bit about, obviously, how you managed to start your own business and what that is.
I'll go first. So Jennifer and I were the two co-founders of a company called Elemental, and it's a tech for good company, and everything that we do is around digital for the social prescribing model of health and social care. But you would think that two people starting up a tech company would be techies, but we're not. We weren't techies at all. We were in fact community development workers. And back in 2013, we happened to be sitting on the same groups around the City of Culture, getting the whole city active. And it didn't matter what your ability was, it didn't matter how much spare cash you had to engage, it didn't matter if you had medical conditions, etc. We wanted everybody to engage in different ways and be a physical activity city, active for all. So we got chatting, and we'd said that we found out we had the same concerns, that despite being good at bringing the funding into the areas, the people that needed to engage in these programs were still walking past the buildings that we were getting the funding for. And we thought, could technology play a part in helping that? So us starting out Elemental started out from a need that we seen in our own communities.
Great, perfect. So you don't have to be techies to have a career in tech. And I think that's one of the quotes that's actually in the comic from Claire Nixon, who's from Real Time Recruitment. So it's something that we don't talk about much within career advice, that we all think that we need to be technology experts. Like, I work in the tech sector. I haven't got a Scooby-Doo about tech. Jen, how much do you use technology, or how much, do you do the tech within Elemental?
I wouldn't do much of the tech at all. So the skill sets that we have complement each other. So I'm more sales and marketing. I'm the person that's out selling the tech. And then we have marketing people in there, and they're the people that market it and promote it. And then we've got project managers, and then we have people who help our customers to use the tech, but we have the coders as well. And then we've got HR and finance, that back office type of stuff that's needed too. So there's probably only a fraction. Now, they are a brilliant tech team. They're all over the world. A lot of them are here in Derry. There's some in Bangor, but we've got someone out in El Salvador, Japan, and Canada, and Dubai actually, and they all run as a tech team, and they're doing their stand-ups every morning. But we would have those kind of stand-ups, and stand-ups are like kind of get together for 5 minutes just to talk about, right, what are we doing today? How are we getting on? Anyone need any help? So we would have little stand-ups in the sales team, and we'd have stand-ups in the marketing team too. So it's like wee huddles, people coming together. So there's so many parts of the tech side of things. It's not just the coding, but obviously the coding's a really important part. but it's the selling of the software and the marketing and everything else that goes with it. So, and there's so many jobs now at the moment in the Northwest in all those other roles.
It's funny you mentioned remote as well, because Olivia, hopefully you can hear us still. And I know we can't get the video feed to work because we've got security settings on Zoom.
Oh, she's there.
Oh
I'm
my
here.
God. There she is, all the
My
way in
face is on
Big
the big
Smoke,
screen.
London. You're in London at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, so I just moved to London 2 weeks ago.
Brilliant.
So apologies I can't be there in person, but at least I can join.
But you know what? I feel like it's just your story has gone full circle, because obviously if you guys were to look at Olivia's story in the comic, Olivia's story is always around obviously her wanting to follow her passions, obviously which might be career-based, but also around meeting new people and traveling and experiencing different cultures. So in a way, Olivia, you being in London at the moment shows that someone can go full circle. I just want to double check on this. You're still working for Alchemy as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm still working from Alchemy, just working from home in London.
Awesome. So there you go. And that's something for everyone that's watching in here now on stream, or whether they're in the room with us to understand. The last 2 years, 3 years maybe even, has meant that people now consider jobs where they are working remotely. So Olivia obviously still works for a Derry company, but is in London doing that job. Olivia, are you finding that easy to do? Is that still quite an easy transition? Because I suppose you were working from home quite a lot over the last 2 years anyway.
Yeah, no, it's basically the same as it was before. I guess it's one positive that's come out of the pandemic, that we have been able to live somewhere else but still work for the same company and work remotely. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Love it. And obviously, let's stick with yourself, Olivia, for a minute, just in case the video feed goes wrong, and then I get told off. So I'm just going to double check. How did it feel, obviously, being asked and approached to be in a comic? And I suppose, obviously, looking back, I'm guessing, hopefully, that you can see the impact that this might have on others in Derry and wider to kind of consider a career in the tech sector.
Yeah, well, when I was first approached, I was a bit confused. But no, I think it's a really good idea. I would like to think I have some creative side in me. Also, being able to bring the tech and the creative side together has been interesting, but they turned out really well. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's been good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, let's stick with this. Obviously, this is a bit like the One Show, but just you'll just have to stay. You're like the American guest that comes in from afar.
I feel like a celebrity here.
So stick with us. We'll come back to you in a minute. But obviously, Jordan, obviously from your perspective, obviously, how did it feel, obviously, being visualized in a comic? Is that something that you're quite excited about because you'd like to showcase that type of job to others?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if my head's to scale in this picture, but also I have binary in my glasses, so everything is just ones and zeros to me. But no, I think it's a great idea. I think having something physical that you can hold and look at to get an idea about what jobs are available here in Derry is really effective, instead of just the normal careers days that you'd have in school, where you'd maybe have 30 or 40 people come in and do all these talks throughout the day, and you just maybe leave more confused. Whereas with an event like this, we can really drill down into the specifics of the tech industry.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And obviously, this hopefully could be the start of other ones as well. And Adam, I think from your perspective, thinking about back to when you were at school, I think in your story, there was something that came out, which was that sometimes you wanted to ask questions or ask the why. Why are we doing this? Why is this important? Do you think, obviously, that sometimes in school we're not given the opportunity to kind of speak out enough or consider things that are alternative? Like you saying you didn't want to go to university possibly seemed like a little bit of a battle inside as well, obviously, with the school system.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's not the slight teachers or schools in any way at all. I think maybe we're just kind of stuck in a more old school sort of thinking of, like, go the university route, do this, and that's how you get a job. But it wouldn't, in reality, well, of course, that's still a way that's going to work. You have so many more options, and they're not really shown off to people. And so an event like this can absolutely showcase that a bit more. For example, the course that I myself did.
What was the one thing that kind of nudged you in that direction? Is there someone that you signposted you to that, or was there a career advisor at school? How did you think about tech in the first place?
So originally I didn't want to go into tech when I'm going, way back even before my GCSEs. I actually had my mind on going in to be a social worker. which I was quickly turned off of. I actually had a youth worker that I was talking to, and I was like, oh, this is what I want to do, and he basically told me, don't. Not that that's a bad career or anything, but it's like, you'll probably hate it. If you looked at IT, you have at least somewhat of an interest in computers, and I was like, you know what, no, I haven't actually looked at it. But from that point onwards, that was kind of what I had my goal set as then, and I was looking at different opportunities and ways to get there. So by the time I was coming up and completed my A-levels, which I stayed on for, and I did IT, I had a fair idea that university wasn't what I wanted to do, and that there was other options out there. But in school, I didn't think that was expressed nearly well enough.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And we're probably jumping back a few more years. Obviously, Jennifer and Leanne. No, sorry, hey. We're probably of a similar age, but I just remember when I was doing A-levels, two of my best friends, they left about 2 months into doing A-levels, and everyone was in shock. Oh my God, they've dropped out. They were doing an apprenticeship in a manufacturing company. And then literally I came back from university, and these two blokes were on like 35 grand. They were in charge and they were managing departments. And I looked at them with envy, not thinking the other way around, which is, oh, they'd dropped out. And I just want to, obviously, from your perspective, I loved university, by the way. So, like, university was definitely for me. It was a great place for me to go to find my voice in a way. But do you think, obviously, that there are other ways in? And obviously, in terms of salaries in tech, like that, they're good money, aren't they? It's good money.
I think there is definitely. Just agreeing with yourself. It's the university way is not the only way, but you have to find the suitable route for yourself. And I think people make the perception as well that the only way into a tech company is going through university and having a degree. So if you take Elemental, for example, I would say, rough estimate, it might be 50-50, people that went to university and people that went the alternative route. So the university route's not the only way.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Jen, then the follow-up question to that is, when you're looking at a CV, so like someone's applying for a job, they've got their resume in front of you, what type of things are you looking for on that CV? I guess it's not just education.
Not at all. Well, yes, we look at that, but we also look at what you were saying earlier about, the person that's maybe written the blog, or the person that's gone out and done something, or, just something that makes them stand out. We've a great culture in Elemental, so we often think too, would this person fit in to our culture? No, you can't read that from a CV. So what we sometimes do is get people to do a little video, and they're just, answering a few questions on a video, and we can get a good understanding fairly quickly. Is this the type of person that fits in? It's a very fast environment in Elemental, so we need people who aren't going to be kind of flapping and put off maybe by everything not being perfect, because it's not perfect. It's great, but there are times where we always say you're changing the wheel of the tire while you're driving the car. So we're sometimes looking in different roles for people who are, in certain roles they need to be really analytical and really, attention to detail. In other roles they've got to be, sales and marketing. You've got to be able to talk in front of people and have confidence and, close the deal. So there's lots of little things that we look at when every CV comes in. But what I would say to people is, I was always the person after these events that would have cornered someone who was talking on the stage. So if you are interested in any of this today, literally grab us or phone us or email us or whatever, because that's how you get noticed as well. And come in for a day to Elemental, and we'll take you around the different departments, and just like Adam said earlier, just have a feel for it and see what you think of it. And if it's not for you, then look at something else, because I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
Oh my God, that's it. Every time I go into schools, I basically say, I'm still trying to work out what I want to do, so don't worry about it. Yeah. It's not like you need to have like a defined pathway. Where they make you do all these roadmaps to where you want to be in 10 years?
Exactly. Oh. Because even like at school, I was never a prefect, and I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder about this, because I was never the person that was chosen to be a prefect or a counsellor. And I worked really hard, and this image here, they put in a bubble here as if I was like blowing chewing gum. Now, I wasn't that type of person that was sitting blowing chewing gum at the back of the class, but I was, probably talking a wee bit too much, as you can tell. But it's just about trying to, you work hard and you want to find something that you enjoy, and that's what I think. Think of what you're good at, think about what your strengths are, and then look and see what's available then, and start getting a wee bit of experience if you can.
I think you've made loads of really good points, and then I want to come back to Olivia, obviously over in London now. When you were at school, Olivia, did you ever think to yourself, I want to have a job in tech?
At school, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. I was interested in like art and like media, but then also loved maths. So I literally didn't have a clue. I did like maths and physics at A level. Then I applied for university, didn't get into the course that I wanted to do it, and I didn't bother going through clearing because I genuinely didn't know what I wanted to do. So then I took a year out and I did a course in IT and then a course in business. And then I ended up doing accounting and finance. And then I came back from university, which I absolutely loved. And then I ended up in a job in alchemy. So I feel like I've kind of gone a bit all over the place, not knowing what I wanted to do. But I am very happy that I've ended up in alchemy and in a tech company.
There's so much that we chatted about, obviously, when we were first meeting with yourself and Jordan about the stories that were going to be in the comics. And maths was definitely something that kind of sprung out to me and Danny. But we, obviously, with a 4-page comic, you can't story tell everything. So I think that's one element that perhaps, obviously, if we had 8 pages, would have possibly been pulled out a little bit more, is that accountancy and finance background, the passion that you had for maths, and the kind of, I think it was a competition as well, if I remember rightly, that you were part of or had got involved in. So how much do you think that the maths, the physics, the kind of science elements, the academic kind of, that background has helped you with your career now in tech? Are there things that maybe that you use, that you did at school, that come out now in the job that you do?
Yeah, definitely. I think you can see or get aspects of everything in the job that you're in now. Even like from university, the whole social aspect and people, that's what I like, meeting people, chatting to people, and working in teams, which we do a lot in alchemy. So for my role, I'm not like a proper techie role. I alongside people and facilitating scrum things like that there. So it's more than just coding and sitting at a computer. So yeah, there's quite a lot of different roles within the tech industry too than just what you might stereotypically think.
It's definitely the social element. I think that comes across with all of the panelists that we have today as well, is that kind of team atmosphere that you create within a tech company where everyone is helping each other out. Jordan and Olivia, you both were on the same course to start with, like the academy program to get on to work in?
Yeah, we started in the same academy in Academy 1.
Brilliant.
In September 2018, I believe that was.
So your job is different to Olivia's, I take it, like?
Yeah, I've been more on that technical side. You know, I would call myself a software developer, but even then I don't sit behind a computer all day writing code. You know, there's a lot of, as Olivia mentioned, a lot of meetings to, work with business analysts and to work with testers and, come to conclusions and different tasks and problems that you're running into. So that's a big part of our role actually is, I maybe do about 2 or 3 hours of coding a day and not just 8 or 9, so yep. It's a good balance between that social aspect of working with people and putting your head down and working hard and code as well.
Perfect, and I don't want to forget about Riona, who obviously is from Hypixel. So the Derry and Derry City and Strabane District Council have supported this project, and obviously their involvement is not me asking Tina and Nikki from the council if they'd like to have their stories in comics. It's about them asking people that they know that they'd like to showcase as well. So I've got to give a shout out to Riona from Hypixel and the Hypixel team for being involved in the process as well. And one of the things about Riona's story to me was that basically she had a passion for 2 things, gaming and music. But how do you make those things into a career? And I think that was her biggest challenge when she was at school, or even when she went to university, was people saying, are you going to be a music teacher? That was the only thing that possibly people ever considered that she might want to do. So she was able to kind of get all of those little things that she did, like including working in a plumbing company in England, because she was fixing things. She was helping plumbers to fix things by communicating the problems. And bizarrely enough, that became her role with Hypixel, is basically talking to the tech team about all the things that go wrong with games. And she plays games, and hopefully they break. That is what she needs to do. She needs to find faults in games and then basically go back to the developers and say, that doesn't work properly, fix that, fix that. And sometimes that probably could be quite annoying for the developer, but she's making Hypixel, and I'm sure Hytale and the games that come from Hypixel, that's helping them. And then obviously the music background, she's now starting to think about how can she use her music passion to create the music that go into games. so that each one of those things is a stepping stone. So like obviously before I come back to elemental, I wanted to ask Adam, like obviously to you, when you were like maybe on that course, and it was Kevin McLaughlin who was your teacher in that sense, or the lecturer, like did he kind of give you a vision of where you could be, and how important was that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Kevin is definitely a passionate man, especially about what he does. If you've ever met him, he'll talk the head off you. Like, but if there's one thing he knows, it's how to teach, and he does it really well. Like whenever I applied for the course, I still wasn't 100% sure. You know, I was like, 12-week course, 4-week placement. I was like, well, will this get me to where I want to be? But like I interviewed with him and I had a chat with him and stuff, and he was like, if you do everything I tell you to do here, and you do it well, you're going to end up with a great career at the end of this. And like his passion getting across to me was what convinced me to really give it my all on the course, actually.
Yeah.
I thought that was very important.
I think it is important to give shout outs to people that matter. Sometimes, like there's always people in your career that actually help shape what you want to do. I remember doing my A-levels and finishing and saying I'm going to take a year out, and my art teacher saying to me, don't waste what you have done so far. Go and do something. Just, get that experience. Go and try something. And it was because then I went and did a pre-degree art course that led me on to go to university and do like a media and drama degree. But if I hadn't had that nudge from the right teacher, I think I possibly would never have done it. So there's always someone, isn't there, that gives you that little nudge of encouragement. And I'm guessing, obviously, Leanne and Jennifer, thinking about, obviously, in your story, there was a bloke that basically, as far as I remember, Mr. Maveni? Yep.
Professor Morris Mulvena.
Professor, that's much better. Well, Professor, what did he do, and how did that impact on the elemental journey?
Well, I was saying earlier about, the idea for Elemental started in the City of Culture year in 2013. So we knew we had this amazing idea, and we knew that we were going to change things with this amazing idea we have in this piece of technology, and we were so confident. And an opportunity came up as part of City of Culture to pitch your idea. They want a prize to help you get on the ladder to be successful and whatever business idea you had. So we went up, and it was like Dragon's Den, and you had 5 minutes to pitch, and we were saying, right, I think we'll do a video. So we had a 3-minute video, and we only practiced talking for 2 minutes. So, and it was in the video, it was my mother pretending to be the patient, and a friend of ours pretending to be the GP to show how social prescribing worked and using the technology, etc. But when we went to press play, the speakers didn't work, and we'd only practiced the speech for 2 minutes. So we didn't know what we said to fill the other 3 minutes. And when the judges, when it came to give their feedback, the first thing they said was, so what is it you're doing again? So they really didn't get what we were doing, and we were really deflated. There was, the guy that won it was Professor Morris Mulvena, and there was, the mixer afterwards, we were networking, etc. He came over and tapped us on the shoulder and says, I really love what you're doing. I love social prescribing, I love that term. Can we chat? We met him for a coffee. What he said was, I think your idea is better than mine, so I'm going to donate my prize money to use. So he gave us the £500 prize money, and that's what got Elemental kick-started, that first £500. And that first £500 snowballed into, right, we're going to give you free desk space, and we have a techie here that will build your first prototype. So everything snowballed, and people just helped us, give us a wee bit at a time, and it helped us grow and grow.
Isn't that amazing? Because you're always going to get people that tell you no, or don't agree with what you're doing. But sometimes you just need that little encouragement from 1 or 2 people to kind of still believe in where you want to go in your career. Be that a creative industries career or a tech career or being a doctor. We're not trying to suggest that everybody in this room become techies in a sense, are we? We're just trying to kind of encourage people to think about what they really would like to do and what makes them have passion about what they're interested in as well. But you need those people. So I think a round of applause to the professor as well, who's obviously maybe not listening in, but it's really important to these guys now employing, 25, 30 people?
35 now.
35 people, and how many in Derry?
I think it's about 25.
25, so yeah. 25 careers, salaries, and each one of them hopefully is a little nudge from someone else, obviously, that's encouraged them on their journey. But thinking of yours, that the professor Morris, who did that, that was the nudge, and there's 25 jobs. So round of applause, I think, to the professor there.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay, a real quick question for each of you, and then we'll wrap it up, obviously coming back to the comic as well. But Olivia, if you had one piece of career advice to a young person watching in right now, what would that advice be? What piece of advice would you give?
I would say you're still at school, try not to stress out about try not to stress out that you feel that you should know what you want to do with your career. To just try different things, see what you're good at, see what you like, and see where you could end up, because that's basically what I've done.
Brilliant. Okay, good stuff. Thank you, Olivia. Jordan, next to yourself, what piece of advice?
I would say probably gather as much information as you can and don't make any rash decisions, which is what I did whenever I finished my A-levels. So I got my A-levels and all my friends were going off to university. I didn't want to be left behind, so I thought I'm going to go to university. And I went to do sound design in London and found out maybe about 7 or 8 months after that it wasn't really for me. And I wish I had just slowed down a wee bit, really gathered some information and talked to the people around me to get a better decision at that point. So I think, yeah, just speak to those around you and everything, get all the information that you can to help you make your decisions.
Yep. Great stuff. Adam, what about for yourself?
I think my piece of advice would be always to look at the other options out there. Even if someone's really pressing you to do this one thing, even ask yourself, is there another way that I can do this? And that's sort of what I did. When pushed down the university route, I thought, you know, maybe there's other ways to go about this. And I did my own research and looked that way, and it ended me up to where I am now.
Great, well done. And it's really inspirational to hear you talking as well, Adam, because obviously congratulations for the pathway that you've taken. And like I mentioned at the start, it's not like university is the pathway and everything else is the alternative. There are just different pathways, aren't there? Absolutely. So, Leanne, for yourself, what piece of advice?
I think there's a theme here that most people are saying, and it's going back to what you said earlier, Adam, on your talk as well. Just try different things. See if you like them. Speak to different people that are in that same area. And if you don't like it, then once you do try it, it's not the end of the world. Go on to the next thing that you think you might like.
Yep.
And me, that's what I done. I tried different things. I changed my career a few times. And it's not that I made a mistake in the first career. I just wanted a change, and I like the next career that I went into.
It's not changing your career doesn't make you a failure. It just means that you're more skilled at loads of different things. Yeah. Jennifer, last for yourself.
I would say it's kind of a combo of two things. I would say if you can get your maths and your English, if you get good enough grades at that, that's that boxed off and you've got it done. So try and get that. And then what I would say is things aren't always going to go to plan. So be prepared for things not to go to plan. And because sometimes when things don't go to plan, people completely freak out. But it is going to happen, and it's happened to me loads of times. But I've always just gone, God, right, okay, what am I going to do now? And just quickly think of something else, or yeah, don't give up if something doesn't work out the first time you do it, because if you really want to do it, you keep trying and you'll get there. Equally, if you did it and it didn't work out for you, maybe it wasn't right for you, and then start thinking about something else. So it's not the end if the first thing that you try to go to do doesn't work out for you.
It's not the end, it's just the beginning.
Exactly.
There you go. Right, I'm going to ask two of you on the panel because we are tight for time, but coming back to the comic, Jordan at the end, what would you like to think the legacy of that comic might be to someone listening in or reading the comic?
I think just to highlight the different ways you can get into the tech industry and to highlight the different roles that are available. You know, it's not just sitting behind a computer. There's a whole range of different ways to get in. You know, you don't have to go do a computer science degree to work in the tech industry. You can go do a business degree. You can, you know, come in through software testing. That's another big area that's growing now. So we're starting to see degrees in software testing as well. There's the whole DevOps side of things as well. So there's loads of different ways to come into the industry. And I think that's the key thing I'd like to see.
Excellent.
Come from the comic.
Great stuff. And Leanne, let's ask a final question to yourself. Like obviously 10 years ago, 15 years ago, would you have ever imagined you'd be sitting here now speaking to loads of kids, talking about being a company, and obviously you need to know this, that has been acquired now, so basically been bought by someone else. So still they're here in Derry, they've got 25 people working for them, but they've been basically able to be so successful that a bigger company has bought them. So could you ever have imagined that 10 years ago?
Not 10 years ago, but 25 years ago, yeah, because at the start, when I was doing my GCSEs, I had this vision that I want to be this big businesswoman, traveling the world, new ideas, etc. But then I decided to go into community development, so it came around full circle. So 20 years ago, yes. 10 years ago, no.
So so basically you're telling my singing career can still happen?
Yes. Go for it.
No, it's only singing in the shower. But listen, thank you ever so much for your time today. I think it's really important, obviously, to give these guys a round of applause. And obviously, we don't have Riona with us today from Hypixel, but thank you, Riona, as well. Your story is really inspirational as well. So round of applause, please. Yep.
As you start to think about your journey into the world of work, the Northern Ireland Skills Barometer has the information you need to make the right choices. It tells us what sectors will provide job opportunities in the future, that relevant work experience is highly valued, and that STEM subjects like science and technology are in demand. Most importantly, it tells us that soft skills such as communication and collaboration are vital in the eyes of employers.
My name's Natasha. I'm the marketing team lead at Meta Compliance. Since working at Meta Compliance, I've found that it's not only the qualifications that are important when it comes to doing your job well, but also the softer skills that help you in your day-to-day tasks. So, for example, having an initiative, being able to work together with other people, having time management skills, and being able to take initiative and multitask. Working at Meta Compliance, I found that teamwork is an incredibly useful skill. It's important that we collaborate across different departments, and also we work very closely with our customers in terms of writing case studies and getting testimonials. And coming together as a team means that we can coordinate our projects very quickly.
Some of the skills that employers look out for can be grouped into two categories. These could be technical skills, for example, computer programming and mathematics, or they can also be softer skills like communication and teamwork. Employers are also on the lookout for candidates that have the ability to adapt to change and pick up new skills, especially in this field like machine learning.
The future of work will be shaped by technology, but will be driven forward by people who have the soft skills needed to thrive as part of a team. What soft skills do you think an employer looks for?
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you managed to get a drink and something to eat. Important thing to kind of talk to you about is this middle section as well. So our second sponsor that came on, who's a major sponsor, has a new website there, which is called homeground.me. And where you'll find, obviously, there's a little example there of on the map. You can see Allstate and Meta Compliance. All of the different employers that are based within Derry, Strabane, Letterkenny, that work in the tech industries are there highlighted. So it's a great little resource for you guys to start looking at what tech companies that you might want to work for or consider working for in the region, okay? Then you'll see there's a QR code. Now, at about 10 to 12 today, we're going to be basically announcing the winners of, first prize is an iPad, second prize is Beats earbuds, and third is an Amazon Echo. So basically, if you just use your phones, if you're allowed to use them, scan the QR code. It should take you through to a competition link where you just put your name and details in, and then the team from the council are going to basically announce the winners about 10 to 12. So if you do that, that would be great. Oh, Chris is taking a wee photograph of me doing that as well. Happy days. Good stuff. So what's up next? Okay. Shh. Sorry, guys. Oh, I'm like a teacher. So, next up, we're going to be introducing a panel of experts who do have that hands-on experience of hiring people in the area as well. So they know what they're talking about, or they offer career advice to other people, be that at college or in other areas. So I'd love to introduce you to Anne O'Neill, who is from Alchemy, Holly Johnson, who is from Hypixel, Stephen Sheridan from the North West Regional College, and Tina Gillespie, who works for the council. So round of applause, please. You say that one there? Great stuff. Yep, that's fine.
You mean the third seat?
You can be wherever you want, my friend. Thank you, Holly.
Hello.
So who knows Hypixel? Let's start with that question. Does anybody know Hypixel? Okay, good. So that's a gaming company who are based in Derry, and they basically recruit for a lot of different jobs, not just gaming roles. So Riona, who's featured in the comic, like I said, her job is to basically play games and hopefully break them. And then she goes to the developers and says, this is something that's not working properly. So we're delighted to have Hypixel with us today as well. Tina, do you want to explain what you do within the council?
I'm Tina Gillespie, and I'm the skills manager with council. So what we do is we work with local companies, we work with education to make sure that we establish a pipeline of talent and that young people know what jobs are available on their doorstep.
Excellent, thank you. Holly, what do you do within Hypixel?
So I work on the recruitment team here for Hypixel Studios. You also find my two colleagues here also from the team down the back there, Kyle and Leanne. So yeah, we hire all the great people that work on our game. For those of you who don't know who we are a video gaming studio, the first of its kind based here in Derry. So it's very exciting for us to be able to come out and hire locally as well as globally around the world. We do offer a range of remote roles as well as in-office roles, and we're growing quite rapidly at the minute, so it's a really exciting time for us.
Great, no, thank you. And Stephen, college, talk to me about your role within the college.
So my name's Stephen Sheridan. I'm a careers advisor at the North West Regional College. So a huge part of our role, you'll hear careers advisor and you automatically think, everyone thinks, oh, you have to pick the right course. It's not necessarily like that. I mean, a huge part of our role is employability, is soft skill development. We work under a 3E strategy, so it's enterprise, enrichment, and employability. So our role with our students is to make sure that you're as employable as you can possibly be. I can feel the glare of the teachers already, but when I say this, the qualifications aren't everything, believe me. As important as they are, and get them, don't get me wrong, but there's a whole host of other skills that you'll need to go along with your qualifications that get you into the labour market and the world of work. So what's our job? And we're here to make sure we have a whole host of workshops that we do with our students and anybody else. I mean, we work directly with schools too and teachers to help develop those transversal skills, they're called. So things like communication, innovation, logical thinking, all these skills that go beyond your actual technical competency. And that's what we do.
Great stuff. And I must take this opportunity to say thank you to the North West Regional College team. They've supported Starticus for a number of years, to be honest, and it's great that we've got a regional college in the city that does such a good and works so hard at trying to connect, obviously, young people to opportunity. So thank you, and thanks for supporting the comic as well. Thank you very much. Anne from Alchemy, tell us, what do you do?
So I am the head of human resources at Alchemy, and I was employee number 1. So fantastic for me. I was involved from the very, very start, sitting down around the table with Invest NI and lots of other organisations around Alchemy and what our vision was and what we wanted to bring to this region. So that was really exciting. So we do a lot of recruitment. So I would head up the recruitment as well as part of my role. So absolutely would be very much engaged in that sort of thing and bringing on lots and lots of people. But I just what I would like to say is, and I do think it's very, very important, is when we talk about tech. I work in HR, but I see myself very much as a woman in tech. Even though, honestly, my boss laughs because sometimes it's like turning on the computers, but as much as I can do, a wee bit more than that. But, you know, what it's something that we've learnt is that all the roles, the supporting roles, the project management roles, all that, they're very much part of the tech world. And not to really think that you have to be, you know, a programmer, a coder to be in tech.
I'm trying to visualise what that might look like, but I'm just thinking of a big house with lots of people living in it, but they're not all doing the same thing. Is that
Absolutely,
fair?
absolutely. And we don't want, so one of the things that we're very, very keen, we do not want to have, we don't have a cookie cutter idea of who we want to be an alchemist. We just want people who want to work for us. We want people to wake up every morning and be part of us, be part of the company. We want people who are passionate about what they do, regardless of whatever role they play, and they want to be the best version of themselves. That's one thing that we always talk about, you know, is encouraging people to really just embrace what they're doing at that point in time, and you know, to do it well.
Perfect. Stephen, I'm going to come back to yourself on that then, and like, someone comes to you, I mean, they're not in North West Regional College, they might be considering going to university, they don't know what they're going to do. Give us a little bit of a breakdown of the different pathways that are available to someone if they're, say, at GCSE or A-level or even considering going to university age. What type of routes can they go down?
Oh, there's loads of different routes. I mean, you can go down the school route of your GCSEs, your A-level, but there's a whole host of other qualifications and in-house training people do now. What we would find is that you see a lot of the companies there, if you go on that website, at the homegrown, or the home, sorry, was it again? Homegrown, sorry, .me. I was talking to Al earlier on. In terms of tech companies, you might not know this, but between Derry, Limavady and Strabane, there's 96, I counted anyway, tech companies, locally run tech companies within the local region. So in terms of your actual progression to those tech companies, there's various ways you could do it. Now, each company would have their own way of recruitment, but generally speaking, you got the traditional way of the GCSEs, A-levels. You've also got the regional college way of extended diploma and then maybe a foundation degree. There's actually a higher level apprenticeship now as well. I don't know if many people know about this in software development. So a higher level apprenticeship works like any other apprenticeship, whereby you're with a company 4 days a week, you're in class 1 day a week, you'll get paid for your time when you work, there's no fees, you do that for 3 years, and then you leave with 3 years experience and also no debt and a foundation degree qualification. Now, in terms of these companies themselves, and I had a chat with my colleague Thomas there, a lot of them are looking for the likes of foundation degree and degree level qualifications, but not always, all right? As I said earlier on about the soft skills and that, we would always encourage students to just directly contact the companies. So when you're at that stage where you think, maybe I do want to go into work now, don't be afraid to call the companies themselves. They'll all have different protocols, they'll all have different ways of recruitment, and you might have a certain set of qualifications or a certain set of skills that they really want, and they might not be too worried if you have a degree or not. Now, that said, as I say, having a foundation degree or a degree, it won't do you any harm, all right? So again, try and amalgamate the two. But again, the best way I think to go about it, if you're at that stage where you're at school now, you're thinking your GCSE subjects, definitely you've got those traditional paths, as I say, and you've got the BTEC path and the foundation degree, the HLA, and then the degree, and then the postgrad if you need it. But a lot of these companies will run their own in-house training. They'll have internships, they'll have recruitment drives, they'll have different sets of programs whereby they may bring you in for a placement or something like that as well. So again, even though you might not be the right age, you might not have the right qualifications or whatever, don't be afraid to do a bit of research now. so that when you do get to that stage, you know exactly what these companies are looking for. Because as I say, they'll all have different ways and different skills that they will be looking for. And you'll see one of those companies and think, aye, that's the one I want to work for. I really want to do that. Right? Well, what do they need? And that'll differ from somebody else. So yes, your qualifications are so important. But again, it was actually touched on in the previous panel. Do your research into the labour market. Do your research into the companies and what they actually do and what the skills that they look for. Because what you'll find is, I mean, we talk about tech, and it's such a broad term, isn't it? But what you will find is when you break it all down, the amount of different types of tech, the amount of different companies, and they're all looking for different sets of skills. So definitely do your research.
Brilliant. I think you've just done my job now, because obviously the next signposting thing was going to go, well, how do I bring in Riona, obviously at Hypixel? But this is just the best example I can think of that has identified all the things that you've just mentioned. So like thinking of Riona basically went and applied for a job at Hypixel before, and she was still in education and it wasn't the right time for her, so she wasn't accepted into a role with Hypixel. But how did Riona then kind of like follow on through that? What did you see in her that made her maybe want to come back and work for you again, but also why did she get a job with you in the end?
Yeah, I suppose when we first spoke with Rihanna, her passion really shone through for the gaming industry. She was a big gamer, but she also has this hobby for synthesized music, so she'd actually play it with a synthesizer. So it was really nice to kind of speak to someone on that level who had that passion, who had that good culture fit within the company, but it just wasn't the right time for her role-wise. So when she came back in for our QA tester role, you know, she was kind of first at the top of our list, and she had reapplied, and we thought, yes, you know, we'll interview her again. We know she's a great culture fit for us, and this could be the right skill set that we need at this time. So she was successful that time around for the quality assurance tester role, and she's doing brilliantly. She's doing great, and she's really enjoying it. But it's nice too to kind of open the door, and it's a nice way to get your foot into the tech/gaming industry, which is notoriously tough to get into for some people. And she's now kind of thinking of other ways where she can bring in, you know, her love of music into the gaming industry as well. You know, we have like sound designers that would work on our game, and she's really interested in that side too. And we foster that environment for personal development, where we would say, you know, go and spend time with the sound designers, you know, go and kind of research how we do things within game and what kind of tech we use, what software we use. And she's enjoying that. She's really enjoying that side of it. Really learning to kind of grow and upskill as well as we move along with the game. So it's been nice to watch her journey, definitely.
Stephen also mentioned something which we sometimes we talk about things that maybe you guys don't understand yet, or like terminology that maybe we're used to using but maybe others aren't as yet. So what are soft skills? Like, what does that mean?
Soft skills are things that kind of, I suppose, make you who you are. Soft skills are your personality, what kind of, you know, what gets you out of bed in the morning, how you like to kind of balance your work life, how you like to collaborate with other people, your different kind of your teamwork skills, the likes of empathy can make you a great team player, how you like to collaborate, you know, your working style, and it's different from person to person, and it's these things that, you know, you can bring in, these different soft skills, and, you know, someone might not be a great communicator in a group of people. They might kind of have their own ideas in a smaller group, but then, you know, they're still really valuable, and we like to foster an environment. One of our values is actually, you know, we're a culture of kind of introverted extroverts, wherein we recognize that, you know, when we make it a good environment for people to share their ideas, no matter what their personality type, whether they're introvert or extrovert.
Totally, and again, thinking about back to school and everything, so I can remember being in school, and I mean, it's a few years ago now, but you were kind of quickly told, sometimes in the class, these are the ones that are the clever ones academically, these are the ones that might struggle. And some of the things that I was good at that maybe at school would have never been picked up on, which is communication skills, presenting skills, ability to kind of chat to different people. I'm thinking of Adam, who did the presentation at the start. You can clearly see that he's got really good communication skills and probably could get on with someone on the reception as much as a big boss. And I think they're skills that we take for granted, aren't we, when they're at school? We need to make sure that we foster that type of confidence to be able to answer the phone and do basic things like that as well, which we're not used to doing anymore. So, Tina, obviously leading on to yourself with the council, I think this is a question this is a kind of an opportunity to kind of just say, well, what's great about where we live? Because sometimes we're a bit negative sometimes. And that happens. I was from Suffolk. I never really loved where I lived until I left it. And then I come back and I go, wow, this is an amazing place. So why should someone listening here right now be really excited about working and staying and living in the city and a job within the tech sector?
Well, one of the things we did was we put together with the digital, creative and financial technology sector, the home ground site. And that was the first part of a project to demonstrate that there's over 100 companies on your doorstep in terms of Strabane, Derry and Letterkenny who are offering hundreds of job opportunities. This is a city on the up. Those sectors are growing sectors and they need a pipeline of talent, and that's why we're out promoting careers today in that sector. And working in that sector, you don't have to move away from Derry. You can have a great quality of life here. If you want to move away, that's great. Please come back. There's a great quality of life. There's numerous opportunities. There's great careers. There's absolutely fantastic benefits in working for these companies. You may be working in Derry, but you're working on brands that are worldwide. You get opportunities to travel abroad and come back. There's fantastic pay, fantastic skilling opportunities, and reskilling opportunities and promotional prospects within those companies. And that's here on your doorstep.
Great. And salaries that we should probably say are comparable to doctor, lawyer, like techies are getting paid serious amounts of money at the moment. It's not like it's pennies. These people could be turning over lots and lots of cash. So, and obviously in terms of obviously pulling it back to obviously as an employer, what are some of the employability skills that you look for, or like the attributes you look for in future staff?
Okay, so, and I'm probably going to, cover some of the stuff that people have talked about here, but so normally when people come to interview for us, we kind of know that they can do the tech. So we don't necessarily deep dive into their technical abilities. We kind of take it a wee bit for granted, in that if they've got their foundation degree, or they've got a degree, they won't have got those certifications unless they actually could do it. So we do hone in on the softer skills that you talked about, which are incredibly important for us. So a big part of who we are is our guys, and Jordan talked about earlier, we work in teams, we work collaboratively. We need people who are who speak up, who a bit like, and I come back to what Adam talked about, making things happen. So we need people to make things happen for them. So people who don't sit back, and we do have introverts as well, as you talk about, but that's something that we know, and we work with them, and we get to know our people very well. So if we feel somebody's holding back, we tap them on the shoulder, we support them, give them those skills to help them to feel a bit more able to put themselves forward. But it is around, so one of the things we want people to be, and one of the words, I think it's a bit of a buzzword at the minute, but we do want people to be really authentic. And when you talk about being authentic, that's just about being yourself. And that's about bringing your whole self every day into work so that you feel comfortable. And if you're not coming as yourself, then you're losing a bit of who you are. You're not necessarily going to enjoy what you're doing, and you're not going to feel like you belong. So that's really important, and it is that passion. So one of the things that we would ask people in interviews, tell us about something that you're passionate about. And it doesn't matter what that is, it really doesn't matter, but it's just honing in that people, that they have that capability, or they have that, there's something within them that makes them passionate about something. And what we do is then we hope to get them onto then they'll be really passionate about tech, and really passionate about their role, really passionate about the company. And that's, I suppose.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I'm thinking then obviously straight away of Olivia's story, and the fact that she didn't necessarily know what she wanted to do. In fact, obviously she was back living in Enniskillen and just happened to come over to a careers day. Yeah. And obviously there was lots of employers, and managed to hear John Harkin speaking, and it was that passion that he had for having a company in Derry that kind of swinged it for her, and also that she suddenly realised all the attributes that she had, those soft skills you mentioned, the travelling that she'd done, they were all really important for a job.
So one of the other things we haven't probably mentioned, and Olivia probably didn't mention it either, but Olivia has been probably one of the most adaptable employees that we have, and that's how she has enabled herself to actually move around and do different roles, and that's really an important thing. There was a group of us from Alchemy, and we met a couple other people, from Margie from Bring It On as well. We met her last week at Women in Tech conference down in Belfast, and one of the closing speech was it's somebody we knew who she works and lives in England, but her speech was all about being a generalist and not being afraid to change your, to move into different areas, to do different things, to actually open your mind up to that, and being adaptable, and being flexible, and not getting yourself caught up in a niche space. I know there will be niche roles in in some companies, but we encourage people to do it, and that's how Olivia's she's moved about, and we've said, Olivia, okay, this isn't working, why don't we try this? Or she's come back and said, oh, I don't really know, I'm not sure. And we said, okay, what do we do? Where do we go? So she was able, she had opened her mind, she'd enabled herself and allowed herself to be adaptable, and that's how she's landed herself where she just knows she's found her spot.
Yeah.
But it won't be where she's going to finish. We know that she'll do this and then she'll move on to something else.
We're all on that journey, aren't we? And obviously, that's a big piece of advice to pass on to anyone that's listening in today, is that just because you choose a subject at GCSE or A level, or you do a certain type of degree, how many of us honestly are doing what we studied at university? Like I did drama and media. I suppose you could argue I do a bit of that now, but I spent 10 years in recruitment hiring people for, so there's everybody might take 10, 15 years to go on that journey. And Tina, obviously coming back from a council level, alongside obviously the home ground site and obviously the work that you do, what other type of skills, initiatives or opportunities do you think are out there for young people to look at in the city?
There's lots of opportunities and different routes that have been mentioned. There's a lot of growth sectors in the city. Apart from the creative, the digital and financial technology sector, we have advanced manufacturing and engineering. We have a very, very big health and life sciences sector, business services sector, and obviously a very big tourism sector. So there's lots of different training programs and opportunities available across those sectors. And again, the application of IT is very, very important in those sectors as well. We would undertake a lot of initiatives. We work across the board with the likes of Catalyst Inc., enterprise partners. We like to run lots of events that we can bring schools out to so that they can talk to people in the industry. We hope to continue to do that. And it's great to see so many school children here today.
Yeah, it is really good. And it's lovely to be back in a real event with real people, not just on Zoom. And I love the Zoom thing, but combining the two is a great addition to what we do in our industry. So talking of adaptability, we've all had to adapt over the last 2 years. You look at the kind of the partners that we have on for this event, Derry Council, the Alchemy, or Derry Strabane Council, I should say, Northwest Regional College, Seagate, Real-Time Recruitment, who are hiring that recruit for IT roles across Ireland, Bring It On, which is an organisation that supports the promotion of IT in schools and the industry, and then University of Ulster Business School. They're all coming at it from different angles, aren't they? It's not like one is just the only way. They're all looking at how can we help. And Holly, I suppose obviously from your perspective as well, everybody wants to help each other in the sector, don't they, to make this a place to bring staff, because we need people, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. It's a great story that our CEO, Noxie, and our COO, Sean, talk about all the time, where it could have been very easy for us. We were actually acquired by Riot Games, who are responsible for League of Legends. There's probably a lot of you in here who know who that is. So it was very easy for us to go and set up an office in LA, move outside of Derry. But Noxie and Sean were just so passionate about bringing it back locally and creating opportunities here that we decided to set up base in Derry. And it's nice to talk to them and hear their story and their background of, we didn't want to kind of take this out of Derry. It's a really good opportunity for us here. So it's important, I would have meetings with Tina on kind of in the college as well, and working with each other and kind of creating this kind of wholesomeness, I suppose, when it comes to tech or the gaming industry itself, on creating new opportunities for people, and Ulster University as well on their game design courses, because we want more people to understand that, yes, you may play video games growing up and think that there's no opportunity there for you to work in that, but it's easier than you think. There's a video game studio on your doorstep. And not a lot of you might not have heard of Hypixel Studios, but I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Minecraft, which is where our origins came from. So it's really nice for us to kind of grow that here and set that up and make sure, you guys are the future. So it's important for us to kind of nurture your future too and where you want to go, and that video games is a reachable opportunity for you.
It's interesting you mentioned that as well, because obviously everyone wants to give back, and then I think of John Harkin with Alchemy, and the fact that he based his business here because he wants to give back and make sure that there's jobs here in the city. And then Noxie, obviously, that's his gaming name, isn't it?
Well, no, yes and no.
Well,
everybody knows him as Noxie. If you say his real name, we would think he's getting... we would think someone is trying to impersonate him, because everyone just knows him now as Noxie.
No, happy days. But all I was going to say is obviously, he obviously is from the city as well, isn't he? So it's kind of like there's a real want to make sure that the next jobs are created here. Thinking of Elemental as well with Leanne and Jennifer, They really want to make sure that jobs here for people coming through. And what I would say is in this room, there's probably a Noxie, there's a Leanne and Jennifer, there's other people, obviously a John Harkin in this room. You guys are the ones that are going to be creating those jobs in the future. We won't know what those jobs are there because they haven't been created. But there's employers in this room, there's bosses in this room, and it's important that we communicate that message. Stephen, like from your job within the regional college, how do we make sure that people have that confidence to kind of think they're the future leaders?
It's subjective. Each individual is different. Confidence is absolutely huge. First of all, don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't. Take that word out of your vocabulary. It's actually great to have game developers here too, because see the amount of students who we have or I've encountered, and not just students, people from all walks of life who say they want to get into things like game development, and they've been told countless times, oh, you can't do that, there's no money in that, there's no opportunity. That's a load of crap. So if you have to have that belief in yourself and try and not to take, try not to let negative experiences, learn from them. Like there's no such thing as win or lose, it's win or learn. So if you do try and create something and it doesn't work out, then try again. I'm sure you've all heard of a small company called Apple. If you look under their founder, co-founder Bill Gates, if you look at the amount of prototypes Apple had before they actually had something that they could actually release, and he was told countless times it's not going to work, it won't happen. And if you ever look at any, just not just in terms of tech, any innovative leader, the amount of times they were told they can't do it and the amount of times they didn't listen. So take that belief in yourself. If you believe you can do it, then you can do it. And if you do have a negative experience and for whatever reason something doesn't work out, then again, learn from it. Take your lessons from that going forward to your next experience. And it's not a failure, it's a learning curve. So again, it's easier said than done. You'll be getting feedback from different people, and it can, knock your confidence. But I know it is easier said than done, but try to not let it. Always have that passion and belief, and if you have passion something for it and you have that belief, then you can do it. I know it's cliched, I know it's a bit cheesy, but it is true. And again, if you look at all the main so-called success stories in their field, and I know success in itself it's subjective in what you determine what success is, but people who set out to achieve something and ended up achieving it, were told, as I say, countless times that it wasn't going to work, they can't do it. Even, I think was it James Dyson at Dyson Hoovers, I think they had something like 400 prototypes before they actually released a Hoover that they thought was good enough. Yeah. So don't be afraid to put in the work, but if there is anything so-called negative, learn from it, take it on board and learn from it, and use that to actually drive you forward rather than keep you back.
Awesome, and that's what we need of more, innit? It's like you're a business leader telling us that now. I feel like you're in Braveheart.
It feels like it up here, to be fair.
But that's what we need to hear more of, isn't it? It's not no, it's how. How can we?
As Alistair, you pointed out, the amount of work we would do with you, and Catalyst was mentioned there, and we do work with so many enterprise, and the Enterprise Northwest would be the three main kind of enterprise agencies we would work with. And all the time we are hearing that and I get it all the time too, when someone sits down, like, I have a brilliant business idea, but I just don't know where to start, or I don't know if it'll work. Well, if you have a brilliant business idea, then it's a brilliant idea. It's brilliant to you, so you can make it work. And what you do is you need to have a bit of patience and go through the right channels and the right paths, and try not to let people hold you back. I was actually talking to, you would see the mums, I'll be quick, Yum Cakes, Sean Bredlin, who set up a really, really successful baking business. I know it's not tech, but his own family were telling him he can't do it. Like he was a chef on his own. He's I'm going to go out on my own, I'm going to do it. And he's looking at supplying now across the water. Like these are cakes and stuff, and he's doing really, really well. And he faced so much adversity. So again, learn from it and take it going forward.
Totally. I was wondering whether you were saying bacon as in bacon and eggs.
Sorry, baking. Baking.
Right, see, that's me picking up on the accent then. And but like, final word to Anne. And obviously, like, bring it back to the comic. How important is it we try initiatives like this to drive people into the tech industry, or at least get them to be aware of the opportunities that are there for them?
Yeah, it's really, really important. I just think it's fantastic. But biased, obviously, and I do, take it back to literally, this all started from us just sitting in a room, and Sarah sitting there in the front row as well, because we wanted to do an event a few years ago, but we kind of thought, well, what do we do? How do we connect? Because it's quite hard. I know, we're talking to yous, and most of yous, from year 10 onwards, and you're just looking at a much older person who is telling you things, and you might not want to necessarily believe what I'm saying. But the fact that I think all the people in here are quite young. They've had adversity. They've had different journeys. they've experienced different things, and life hasn't always gone the way they wanted it, and I think it's important they also didn't know what they wanted. They all didn't necessarily know. I just think it's fantastic. I think it's great. I think people, I really, really hope you all take it away, read it from cover to cover, take your time. And, there's some fantastic advice in the back as well from some of the local leaders that we've talked about, and what they believe are the employability skills. And it's not necessarily to be a fantastic techie or anything else, guys. If there's one thing you take away, I think from all of us, it's all those other skills. So if you get an opportunity in school to become part of a project, or if you get an opportunity to collaborate with your team, your classmates in something, then get involved and really get involved and just learn those skills. And embrace it and realise that you're learning skills for the future.
Totally.
It's really important.
I think we have to end on that note, just to thank, obviously, our 4 panellists that have been in the second session today. Give them a round of applause, please. Thank you.